I should have put my ego to the side and really listened to individuals who were already successful in these industries and follow their lead. In order to be a good leader, sometimes you have to be a good follower.
This is The Entrepreneur Way with Neil Ball. Unlocking the secrets of successful entrepreneurs 7 days a week. Subscribe to our podcast and follow us on Twitter at Neil D. Ball. Napoleon Hill said the power of the mastermind is the driving force. To discover how you can unlock the potential in your business using the power of a mastermind, go to mastermindunlimited.com. And now, here is your host, Neil Ball.
Hello, it's Neil Ball. Thank you so much for joining me today on The Entrepreneur Way. The Entrepreneur Way is about the entrepreneur's journey, the vision, the mindset, the commitment, the sacrifice, failures and successes. I am so excited to bring you our special guest today, Fabian Brown. But before I introduce you to him, I have a quote for you. Mos Def said, "You have to experience life, make observations and ask questions." The Entrepreneur Way asks the questions so we all get the insight, inspiration and ideas to apply in our businesses. Fabian, welcome to the show. Are you ready to share your version of the Entrepreneur Way with us?
Neil, I am so excited and completely ready.
Fabian, thank you for coming on the show. Fabian Brown is 36 years old and a proud father of 10 amazing children. 3 sets of twins and 4 singles. His beautiful blended family is the drive to become better than he was yesterday. A musician, educator and business owner for 20 years, he shares that everything is possible with work ethic, vision and massive action. Fabian, can you provide us with some more insight into your business and personal life to allow us to get to know more about what you do and who you are?
Absolutely, Neil. So for starters, 36 years old, proud father of 10 amazing kids. I know when I say that really shocks a lot of people, but, the matter of fact is 3 sets of twins, 4 singles, and it's a really happy blended family. In fact, I go by the hashtag 10 kids, no problem. And that's not to say, that we don't have problems, but when situations do arise, we look at it as an opportunity to overcome something, overcome adversity. So the hashtag 10 kids, no problem is really a mindset that whatever comes our way, if it's adversity, we're going to come together and we're going to overcome that. As far as my professional background, I'm in a multitude of different industries. I actually went to school in Philadelphia for music performance. I studied jazz. I'm a saxophonist. And I had my eyes on performing. But as you go through college, you start to realize that the performance arena, there's levels to it and there's ways that you can diversify. So I learned fairly early on that although I loved playing, I loved performing, there was other facets of the music industry that I had interest in, such as, music production, such as, booking other events. And then it really came from a music point of view where I expanded more into the entertainment industry. So I incorporated a photo booth company, and I incorporated a music production company where we helped artists, through artist development. So I got really, really excited about that, and then there's a real estate piece that I got involved with. There's some online marketing that I got involved with, but at the foundation of everything, I'm a people person and I love to help people. So if I can focus all my efforts every single day on helping others, that's what I'm built to do. I have a great network of people in various industries, and at the end of the day, I like connecting those people to one another, so I can help them build success for themselves.
So how do you make money out of what you do now, Fabian?
So there's a few different streams of income that I have going on. Right now, in fact, you're catching me. I turnkey technology solutions. So one of the things that I do is I go to different schools, usually a K through 12 districts, and I offer different educational technology solutions to turnkey for their administration, to turnkey for their teachers. Basically, I train teachers how to leverage technology into their existing curriculum. Prior to getting into that, I myself was in education. I was a music teacher for 14 years, and great occupation, loved every bit of it. I loved the parents, I loved the students, the community, the administration. But just like anything, things evolve and things change. There was a period of time where administration had a different mindset than I had. I was looking for growth and expansion, and they were looking for contraction. And, we didn't really see eye to eye on something. So it was time for me to move on and do some other things. And that's really when I put my best foot forward and got to other endeavors just to kind of round out my portfolio. I figured that if I can help kids in the classroom, I was being effective in that arena, that I can do it for greater people, and not just kids, for adults too.
And what do you enjoy most about what you do?
Oh, that's a great question, Neil. I really enjoy the growth process. I like planting seeds, giving a little water and sunshine, and watching people grow, watching people evolve into the best person that they can possibly be. I love the struggles. I love being able to help an individual, brainstorm and come up with a solution, to come up with a plan, on how something can be better. And by all means, Neil, I'm not perfect. I'm not, I'm not the end all be all. I have plenty of room for growth myself, but I really do enjoy the collaborative piece in everything that I do. That's probably my favorite part, is just collaborating, brainstorming ideas, and solving problems.
So how do you actually see that finished result with what you do? Because obviously if you're working with, I'm just thinking, if you're helping teachers in the classroom to use technology in the classroom, how do you see that result?
So really at the crux of it, it's about building relationships. Walls do come down, when you focus on building a relationship. And that's really the key to success, in my opinion, with anything that you do, with any of, whether you're talking about parenthood or whether you're talking about business, is about building that trust and building that rapport and respect for one another. So how I see the growth is the aha moments, is the enjoyment of seeing a teacher go from, oh man, I can't do this is too hard, to actually being a leader in that classroom and really leveraging technology to the best of their ability. It's really one of the most fascinating things to witness, to be quite honest.
And I suppose once you get that moment, I suppose the effect of it's leveraged or leveraged even further, because obviously it then affects all the kids in the classroom, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, it becomes, because the truth be told, the kids are more advanced in technology than their counterparts and their teachers. And what's really, really funny, they know that. The teachers are intimidated by that fact. So we do a flip model. I encourage the students to become essentially the leaders in that classroom. And I create an atmosphere, I create a culture of, look, we're all in this together. There's plenty of resources. The days of the teacher being the smartest person in the room, they're over. Because we have access to the internet. So the teachers at that point become, they cultivate the information. They're like the conductor of an orchestra, where they allow things to come in and allow things to come out, keeping the flow of everything going. But the kids are the ones who are gathering the information. It's up to the teacher to curate that information, however.
Yeah. What is it that drives you?
Oh man, for me, it's time freedom. For me is options. That's my goal. Obviously my kids are a big reason why I do anything. Having a huge family comes with huge responsibilities. Both, financially, both in mindset. It's a whole package. I strive to be the best father that I can possibly be. I want to show my kids that anything and everything is possible as long as they put their mind to it. There is no limitations. So I would say what drives me is being able to have the freedom, being able to have the time, the resources to instill those values into my children. What I will say is I've been working very hard with all of my kids, and one of my best dad moments, if you will, was my daughter meeting the President of the United States. When she met President Barack Obama, through a series of leadership programs that she went through, it was like the best. And I thought it would never get better than that. And then shortly following that, she was asked to be featured in Success Magazine, which is, a business publication here in the United States. In fact, if you were at a Barnes & Noble's right now, this month, you would be able to find my daughter in Success Magazine on page 30. So what drives me is the success of others, not just my kids, but being able to motivate, inspire, educate them that options are limitless. And when they find those results, when they find that success, that's what really drives me.
And how do you relax when you're not working in your business?
That's a great question. Relax. With 10 kids, there's very little relaxing. It's to be honest, it's tough for me to unplug from the business world. So what I've done is I've incorporated my kids in the business world with me. For example, I own and operate an entertainment company, and within that we have a photo booth business. So I have little guys. I have twins that are 5 years old, for example. Well, what can you do to get a 5-year-old involved in your business? Well, in that industry for the photo booth, they are the managers of all of my props. So they make sure that all my props are accounted for, that nothing is broken. They organize the props. But what that gives them, it gives them a role, it gives them a responsibility within my business, But for relaxing, we do like to travel, It's very rare that I travel and I completely unplug, and I know that's a shortcoming of mine that I'm really having to work on. But the time is now for me, and until I reach my goals, relaxing will come later. But I definitely have a routine, a schedule, if you will, that will allow me to have that time with my family, have that time with my kids, because at the end of the day, that's the most important. I'm not working because I want to make the money. That's a byproduct. I'm working because I want to have freedom and time with my family. And, communication is key for getting that.
You must have a busy life with 10 kids.
Yes. I like to say productive. Everything is, again, not perfect, and I'm learning every single day. But one of the things that I try to not teach my kids, I try to show them the value of, hey, family is the key. Family is the foundation. Friends are going to come here today, gone tomorrow. But at the end of the day, that family support, that system is really where things are for me and my kids.
Mm. Do you have any entrepreneurial role models?
Oh, geez. There's countless of role models, in different industries too. For example, in the photo booth industry, there's a friend of mine who owns a company called Boardwalk Photos. And, I really didn't ever see myself in that industry, but he is super successful, has 25 different units. He is up and down the East Coast. He goes as far as Maine, as far south as Florida. And what he's been able to create for his family is super, it's substantial. So I look towards him. In every industry that I participate in, I have a role model. I have a mentor. I knew early on that I don't know everything. And if I wanted the things that other people had, I just had to seek out those individuals that had them, and that fit my personality, because everyone, I'm a lover, not a fighter, Neil. I'm somebody that, I'm not an aggressive person. I love to help people, and some people don't take that approach. So when I'm seeking out mentorship or leadership, I really focus on people who are similar in my persona. Because that's the most effective. There's a gentleman who I work with. His name is Casey Snyder. In fact, he's younger than I am. He's about 4 years younger than I am. But what he's been able to do for me and my family over the last 4 years is nothing short than significant. Just the mindset, the understanding of how to leverage my time, how to leverage other people's time. The concept of business principles. He really jump-started my whole mindset when it comes to applying these business theories, because I didn't go to business school. I went to school to learn the saxophone. I went to school to be a jazz musician. So me landing in entrepreneurship, that was, I don't want to say by accident, but it definitely wasn't by design. But I have to work towards it, and it's a constant every single day. On top of the role models that I have tangible in person, I'm an avid reader. I'm up to, at one point I was reading a book, every week, one book every week. I peeled that back a little bit just because of being able to digest it. But it's great to have access to minds literally all over the world, from different podcasts to different books, to different people that I can find online. There's no shortage of role models that I have in my life.
Fabian, what I'd like to do now is just talk about the time before you were an entrepreneur. What difficulties did you have to overcome when you started your business?
Great question, Neil. The difficulties I had to overcome was knowledge, because I didn't know what the hell I was doing, to be quite honest. I knew that in order to have the things that other people had, they weren't going to work for that. I knew that punching a clock every single day, you didn't have control over your time. I knew that I didn't like the fact that someone, as an adult, someone had to tell me, what time to take a break and what time to, go to lunch and what time to have to come in. I was always a person that was driven by results. I like to produce results. So I guess one of the difficulties starting a business was really my mindset on getting over the fact that I had to dictate all those things. The things that I hated the most about being an employee, I now had to apply to myself. I had to get disciplined with my time. I had to be consistent with my actions, because if you weren't consistent and disciplined, you didn't go anywhere. And most of the times you went backwards in business. So the most difficult thing for me was creating routines, was creating schedules, and being disciplined to carry out actions on a daily basis.
And did you have any doubts that delayed you starting your business?
Yeah, with someone that has 10 kids, there's a lot of doubts that come into it. There's a lot of internal and external doubts that come with that. If I could talk about the external for a moment, there's a lot of people who I've considered my friends, a lot of family members that when I started getting into entrepreneurship, maybe they were based out of fear, maybe they were concerned, but they thought I was crazy. Why would you want to leave a teaching profession? You get paid well. It's a great industry. But I saw the writing on the wall. There was a lot of things in education that weren't meeting the person who I was. There was a lot of people who just didn't like the industries that I was in as far as business goes. There was a lot of negative thoughts around that. Then there was the internal conflicts. The self-doubt of, can I really do this? Can I really provide a living for my family? What about benefits? What about healthcare? What about not getting, paid on the 15th and the 30th? There was a lot of internal conflicts. And then the shortage of skills. In order to be in business, you need skills. And if you don't have the skills, you have to be willing to seek out those skills. And you have to understand that it's not going to happen overnight. So I guess one of the biggest things, I was looking for immediate gratification, and that rarely came in business. There is no shortcut, Neil. There's only the long cut, and I had to learn that the hard way. A lot of mistakes along the way, and but those mistakes, those failures really helped develop the kind of person that I am today. If it wasn't for mistakes and failures, I wouldn't be able to grow as a person.
So how did you overcome all those doubts that you've talked about there?
A lot of it was personal development. A lot of it was having someone hold me accountable. A lot of it was mentorship. I had to say this over and over. I'm nobody special. I'm just an individual that has an insane work ethic and has plenty of reasons why I should have an insane work ethic. But my shortcomings has always been skills, had always been, discipline, applying systems, so I always just looked to people, to books, to personal development that had that in place. I just looked at my circle of influence, the 5-6 people that I, surrounded myself with, a majority of the time. I took a really good look at that. I made a decision, are these people empowering me or are they holding me back? So I had to make a lot of tough decisions around the people I spent my time with. The decisions that they were making were affecting me, on a mental level. So I just really had to make a lot of tough decisions on who I was spending my time with and really just focus on the goals that I set for myself. And through having individuals holding me accountable, and when I didn't hit my marks, when I didn't hit my goals, not beating myself up about it. It's okay. It's okay to make mistakes. In fact, if you're not making mistakes, you're not learning. So that mindset, took a long time for me to grasp.
And what mistakes did you make that slowed your journey?
Oh, geez. I don't know if the podcast has a long enough time for me to share all my mistakes. I guess, from a personal level, being a family man, one of the biggest mistakes that I made was not devoting enough time to my family early on. I was so driven to make something work that, it was to the point of sheer neglecting my family, neglecting my kids. And not because I wanted to, but because I had my eye on the prize. So I had to learn, and I hate to use the word balance, but I had to learn that there's ebb and flows, that there's time that you have to commit to your family, to your kids. They are your biggest cheerleaders. They are your foundation. They are everything. So one of my biggest mistakes, I guess, early on was definitely not putting enough time and effort, into my wife, into my family, and the relationship suffered, All they saw me was, going for the money, going for, helping other people, find success, helping other people and doing the things that I was doing, but not helping them. It was almost like being divorced, but living in the same house. And, through my wife is a trooper, you should interview her, through my wife, we just communicate well. And, we don't let things go to a boiling point. And when things get kind of not the way she thinks it should go or not the way I think, it's time for a conversation. So communication is the biggest thing. So I guess an overarching theme is I had to learn how to be a better, effective communicator, not just with my clients and customers, but I had to be a better communicator with my family. I had to share with them the reasons why I wasn't going to be home from morning to night, or why I had to take that trip, 3,000 miles away and I was going to be gone for a week. I had to get better at communicating the reason why we were doing this. I had to rally my family around the vision that I was building, that I was creating for them. And that's an ongoing conversation. That's not something that you have one time and that's it. Mm-hmm. It's not like magic. That's an ongoing conversation because things will come up. There's been plenty of times where I've missed, talent shows and, first games and championship games, because I was out, grinding. I was out doing the things that I had to do to provide for my family. But as long as you effectively communicate the reason why you're doing things, your family, they'll understand. They'll definitely understand. That's one failure, breakdown in communication, and, thinking I knew everything was another big failure of mine. I would say that I'm a confident person, but I would say it was also on the line towards being cocky, and once you lose a certain amount of money, once you lose a certain amount of contacts and network and friends, you start to realize, okay, well, maybe I need some help. Maybe I can't really do all of this by myself. Maybe I really do need to find leverage. Maybe I do need to build a team. Maybe I need to start trusting other people with things that I find sacred, and delegate my responsibilities. That's something I still struggle with today, is the delegation piece. I'm a bit of a perfectionist, and if I don't have my hands wrapped around it, I think it's going to fall apart. So building systems, building people around me was something that I continue to learn, but that was a big failure at first. I thought that I had to do everything, but again, through personal development and mentorship, I'm really starting to develop the skills that I need to be more successful than I am today.
What are some of the things that you did before you started your business that would be helpful tips to some of the listeners who haven't yet taken the first step on the entrepreneur way?
Neil, it comes down to skills. And, no matter what industry that you are looking to start or to get into, there's a bit amount of research that you have to do prior to getting into that. So it's skills and research. You really have to do your recon. You really have to find someone that you admire, that you respect and trust in that industry, and you have to approach them. You have to find out if they can make some time for you so you can, get information, get knowledge for them. Find out the mistakes that they've made so you don't have to make those same mistakes. Learn from other people. You have to be a life learner. There is no there's no shortage of information and access to information nowadays, especially being in the information age. So you really had to make a decision. You really had to make an effort to be a life learner. You know, you don't know everything, and don't pretend like you do. There's always someone out there that can teach you some type of lesson so that you grow. And this is not just an entrepreneurial thing. This is a personal thing too, because if you're not growing as an individual person, then your business is probably not growing too. So my biggest advice to anyone that's going into entrepreneurship is it's going to take time. You're going to need skills. You're going to need to surround yourself with people who are better, who are faster, who are smarter than you. And it's going to take time. And be okay. Fall in love with the process. If you can fall in love with the process, the results, they will come.
What I'd like to do now, Fabian, is talk about the entrepreneurial journey a little bit more with you. Is culture important from the beginning in a business?
Culture is everything. You know, I'll give you one example with my tech business. You know, oftentimes I go into situations where the culture is it's negative. You know, people again are very, I don't want to say skeptical about technology. They just don't know how to apply it, and they don't know how to apply it effectively in an education situation. So culture is the first thing that I approach, is the first line of attack. You know, is creating an environment with individuals. It's finding the leaders in the group and allowing them to lead. You know, it's leading from the front. It's doing the things that you're asking other people to do. Culture, it's the foundation of everything. You know, the culture that you have with your employees, the culture that you have with your colleagues, with other leaders, with your mentors. I mean, you can tell if you don't have a foundation in culture, things are not going to work. I've seen it time and time again. So, yes, culture is extremely important, whether you're raising a family or running a business.
Knowing what you know now, is there anything that if you'd known it when you started out would have helped you to shortcut the learning curve?
You know, I would say that I needed to, knowing that I know now finances, you know, there's only so much that there's only so much I knew prior to jumping into entrepreneurship. Again, I don't have an MBA. You know, I didn't go to school for business. I went to school of hard knocks. You know, I had to learn the hard way. So knowing what I know now, if I knew back then, I would have started much, much earlier in me gaining that knowledge, gaining that skill set. Before I was winging it. It was trial by error. Let me just try something, and if it worked, it worked. If it didn't work, then try something again. You know, I let my ego get in the way. I should have put my ego to the side and really listened to individuals who were already successful in these industries and follow their lead. You know, in order to be a good leader, sometimes you have to be a good follower.
How much does gut feeling influence your decisions in your business?
It's the reaction. It's very important. You know, it's that little thing you feel in your stomach, that little voice in your head that says go. You have to be decisive. You have to make a decision. You know, you don't want to spend too much time mulling something over. Nothing gets done that way. You know, after a big failure, what a person needs is short little successes. You know, so making a decision, having clarity on where you're going and why you're going there is the most important thing ever. Sometimes that gut feeling, you know, it's telling you, just go, just do it. What's the worst that can happen? You know, the voices in our head is what stops us. The doubt, the uncertainty, that's what stops us. But that gut feeling, that's telling us to move to action. You know, now how important it is just depends on how big the decision that you're trying to make. You know, it really does vary. But listen, if I get that feeling in my gut, 9 out of 10 times I'm taking action.
What are some of the secrets of success, in your opinion?
Secrets of success, in my opinion, really at the crux of it is communication. You know, in order to have success, you have to have a group of people that are willing to follow you. No one that you can name has success did it by themselves. Everyone has a team. Everyone has a group of people that are inspiring them, or a group of people that are following them to get to the end goal. You know, so in order to manage a team of individuals, you have to create vision. In order to create vision, you have to have communication. You can't communicate a vision effectively without being a good leader. So there's all these things that you need to have, but that has nothing to do with business. That has everything to do with your personal development. So my secret, my feather in my cap is my personal development. And again, I've seen it right with my daughter. Going into her 9th grade year, she was very shy. She was an average student at best. She wasn't horrible. She wasn't fantastic. She was just average. Me and my wife, we attended a conference in California, and we heard a gentleman by the name of John Maxwell give a presentation. He was doing a seminar. And one of the things that he said was that he didn't pay his kids to do chores. He paid his kids to read books. I looked at my wife. I'm like, well, that's quite interesting. His thought process was, doing chores is part of your family obligation. That's your contribution for being a part of this family. He didn't want to teach his kids to earn money by doing laborious things. He wanted to teach his kids, you get money for learning. And that's stuck with me. I've heard that probably about 5 years ago. That stuck with me. So we got back home from that conference. He was promoting a book called Success for Teens. And we bought the book. We gave the option to all of our kids. Hey, guys, we're going to give you $20. Whoever reads this book, if you do all the questions in the book, if you do all the worksheets, we're going to give you $20. Out of all the kids that we had, the only person that took us up on that offer was our daughter, Sarah. Now, that was the catalyst for her. Since that time, just to name a few of her accomplishments, she raised, $12,000 for Leukemia Lymphoma Society. She met the President of the United States through a leadership program, got to shake his hand, photograph pictures. She'd appeared in Success Magazine. She's on National Honor Society. She's on the wait list for Harvard University. And she will tell you herself, all of that comes from reading that book. All that comes from putting personal development in. She's addicted. She's almost as bad as me with reading books. She could read, 1-2 books every week. So I would say that personal development by far is where everything begins.
Life is made of constant change, whether we like it or not. And many people say the only constant in life is change.
Yes.
How do you try to keep up with change, Fabian?
Change is inevitable, and if you're not changing with the times, you are going to fail, and that just comes with being a student, that comes with learning, depending on what industry an individual is in, you just have to be up to snuff with everything that's trending, everything that's going on. Don't get complacent. Change is inevitable. People have to be able to welcome change. Change usually can throw somebody off, because if you're used to doing something consistently for, a year, 5, 10, 20 years, when a change happens, it can throw you off. But again, we're living in an exponential age where technology is changing rapidly. So your industry is going to be affected by technology. Here's the thing, there's nothing more permanent than change. So you have to embrace that change, welcome that change, look at it face on, look it in the eyes, and love it. Just fall in love with change. It's going to happen whether you wanted to or not.
What is your favorite book on entrepreneurialism, business, personal development, leadership, or motivation? And can you tell us why you have chosen it?
Oh, that's a great question. There's so many books. You know what? I'll tell you some that I've recently read. There is a book by Gary Vaynerchuk. And in fact, if you guys aren't following Gary Vaynerchuk on social media, he's a must follow. He's really teaching me how to leverage the internet. He's really teaching me how to brand myself via social media. And, up until recent, I never really understood, social media for me was connecting with friends and family, and that was the beginning and end of it. But if you apply it to business, the results that you can get are just amazing. So I didn't have skills in that. So everything that Gary Vaynerchuk does, in fact, there's a book called Crush It. In fact, it was published in 2009, but if you read it today in 2016, the information in that book is completely applicable to today's technology, which is amazing in itself. So anything by Gary Vaynerchuk, as far as sales go, there's a gentleman by the name of Grant Cardone that I really love his content. I really love his information. listen, being an entrepreneur means you have to sell something. I like to say that I'm selling myself. Before I sell any product or services, people have to buy me. And in Grant Cardone's book, The 10X Rule, he talks about principles of just, look, whatever you're doing it, times it by 10. Don't be complacent. Go for the gold. If you think you're done, put another hour in. The mindset that he's helped me create is just go and get it. Go and get it. So I'm excited about his things that, his programs that he has out. So Gary Vaynerchuk, Grant Cardone. As far as personal development goes, I'm a reader of John Maxwell. Everything that he talks about, especially when it comes to leadership, is just so important. Jim Rohn, Darren Hardy, Eric Thomas, the list goes on and on for the personal development side. But those are just a few authors that I'm recently just getting, into this first quarter going to the second quarter of 2016.
Thanks for that, Fabian. Everyone, when you have a busy life, listening to audiobooks is a great way to expand your knowledge in the time when you may be doing other things, such as driving or when you are at the gym. We have a special offer for you, the free audiobook of your choosing. To choose your free audiobook, go to www.freeaudiobookoffer.com. As long as you've not already signed up, then you will qualify. Fabian, we're now going to fast forward to the future and speculate about a few things. So what one thing would you do with your business if you knew that you could not fail?
That's a great question. What one thing would I do in my business if I knew I couldn't fail? Mm-hmm. Talk to everybody. Talk to everybody. A lot of fear comes from the area of objections and the area of just objections in general. Early on, I was hesitant to talk to some significant people in my network because I was afraid they were going to shut me down. So moving forward in the future, I go for no. Like, listen, that is the key in life. Talk to as many people as you can. Share your idea, share your vision with, and just understand that everyone is not going to buy into your vision. Everyone's not meant to buy into your vision or your idea. But it's your duty, it's your responsibility, it's your obligation to speak with everybody. Do not leave one rock unturned. You don't have to be salesy about it. You have to come from a place of sharing information. You have to come from a place of giving education. My mindset, especially being in the education field for so long, my mindset is, who can I teach today? What can I teach today? Who's going to be inspired and motivated to move to action today? And listen, if you're in my path, we are having a conversation. If you give me 60 seconds, we're talking about something, So my biggest thing moving into the future is be fearless and speak to everyone.
What skill, if you are excellent at it, would help you the most to double your business?
Technology and social media. There is such a push right now with apps like, Snapchat, Periscope, Facebook Live. I'm addicted to live streaming. I feel that live streaming is the best way to connect with anyone that you want in the world, including top influencers. So I would say that, in the future, I'm developing my broadcasting skills, my public speaking skills. I'm developing the technology, the back end knowledge of these apps and how to apply these apps to my business. Things like Facebook Live, things like Snapchat and Periscope, because I feel that these are the entryways, these are the gateways, the opening of the door that will lead to a lot of people getting to hear your message, getting to really know who you are behind the person. It's definitely going to be a social media world and learning how to leverage social media to expand and scale your business.
In 5 years from now, if a well-known business publication was publishing an article on your business after talking to your customers and suppliers, what would you like it to say?
I would love it to say customer service, that I did everything that I possibly could to make sure and guarantee that individual buying my product or buying my service was completely satisfied. Now, the reality is I know I'm not going to satisfy 100% of the people, but I want people to remember me for my customer service, for my effective communication skills, and for the experience that they have. Again, I'm all about educating individuals about the options that they have to be better than what they were yesterday. yesterday. So if I can educate and inspire and motivate these people, and if they feel that they receive complete value and they are able to share that, oh my goodness, Fabian, you have to connect with him. I study with him. I learned from him. I bought his product. I bought his service. I just want people to remember me as helping others and giving complete, tremendous value.
We're now at the part of the show where you share 3 golden nuggets with us. So first of all, what is your favorite quote and how have you applied it?
You are only as strong as the weakest link. Now let that sit with you guys for a second. You're only as strong as the weakest link. No matter how confident you are in your skills, in your knowledge base, no matter how effective you are at communicating or leading, you're only going to be as good as the weakest person on your team. So you really had to evaluate that, and for me specifically, I want everyone to win. I want everyone that I'm surrounded with to win. And if they're not winning, then I'm not winning, then I'm not doing my job effectively. So you're only as strong as the weakest link.
Do you have any favorite online resources that you can share with us?
Absolutely. I'm really digging Hal Elrod's podcast. He is the author of The Miracle Morning. I'm on a daily regimen with him. Every single morning I listen to at least anywhere from a half an hour to 45 minutes of one of his podcast episodes because he resonates with me of the type of person that he is. I also read a lot of publications. So when it comes to entrepreneurship, I'm entrepreneur.com, Success Magazine. Again, YouTube is the gold mine for resources. You type in any topic into YouTube, you're going to find some great golden nuggets. You're going to find some gems on YouTube. Pick a few people who kind of fit your DNA. Pick a few people who resonate with your core values, who resonate with because it's going to be different for me than it is for you. You have to pick people who fit your persona, who fit your personality type. And when you find these individuals, whether it's through a simple Google search or reading articles through Entrepreneurial magazine, or listening to a podcast, when you find these individuals that resonate with you, consume as much information as possible. Make it part of your daily method of operation. Set aside time so you can consume personal development. I'm telling you, without personal development, I would be probably crazy. It wouldn't be 10 kids, no problem. It would be 10 kids, tons of problem. Personal development is the way to go. And the resources are simply via online and talk to people, guys. Talk to people who are running faster than you are, who are just exactly where you want to be.
What is your best advice to other entrepreneurs?
Start now. Stop waiting. Stop procrastinating. Start now. Do something take action every single day. Get organized with your action plans too. Write your goals down. A lot of people write their goals down and they become dusty notes in their notebook. You have to revisit your goals and you have to always want to scale. Once you reach a goal, get to a bigger goal. But it all begins with starting now. You must start now. Stop waiting. The only time that I see on the clock is now.
Everyone, if you didn't manage to get a note of Fabian's favourite resource or his favourite books, then you can find the links on Fabian's show notes page. Just go to theentrepreneurway.com and search for Fabian or Fabian Brown in the search box. Fabian, is there anything else that you'd like to add about your business?
Neil, I just want to thank you for the opportunity and time. If individuals want to get to know me a little bit better, reach out to me. Social media is by far the best way. You can simply do a Google search for Fabian Brown. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, Periscope, all the popular social media sites. I do also want to say I'm very much into giving back, into building community. Is it okay if I give a website, if I give a link out?
Yeah, you can do. Go on.
Yeah, love it. Please visit myprojectfeedingkids.com. myprojectfeedingkids.com. I'm running a campaign right now where I'm helping support in the United States. There's over 17 million kids who go to bed every single night and they don't know where their next meal is coming from. So we set up a partnership with Feeding America, which is a nonprofit in the United States and Canada, that every time we help someone with the service, every time they become a customer with the service, a donation gets sent to Project Feeding Kids. So myprojectfeedingkids.com, guys, check it out. Please connect with me on social media. I love to hear your thoughts and, just get to know one another and connect on a transparent, authentic level. And Neil, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Fabian, you're welcome. It really has been an honor having you on the show. You've just talked about so much. I mean, just balancing your life with your entrepreneurial business as well. And the things you've talked about have just been great, about the importance of effective communication, delegation, systems, creating a vision, leadership, and the list just goes on. So thank you for sharing everything with us. You really have inspired us all.
Neil, it's my pleasure. So glad to be on.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to The Entrepreneur Way. Subscribe to our podcast and follow us on Twitter @Neil D. Ball.